Well, hi, Faith Baptist Church and our extended family. This is the midweek devotional for the week of April 19th, and I hadn't even kind of decided what I was going to talk about this week when all of a sudden it became pretty apparent that it would be best to say something about this terrible thing that's happened in our province this week. On Sunday afternoon, I was all focused on being annoyed at myself because I'd sent out the Sunday service video and I'd made an editing error, and so there was this weird section where I repeated the first part of the sermon, and all of a sudden the news started coming in about what was going on in the province, and what a fool I felt like, because had been so obsessed with looking like a doofus for 90 seconds in a video. Just a couple of hours away from us, someone had done everything in their power to just cause as much devastation as they possibly could. And it's just an unbelievable amount of evil in what's become Canada's worst mass shooting. So what do we do about that? How do we process that? Someone once asked Canadian General Romeo Dallaire about how it is that he could continue to believe in God after he had seen such horrible things during the Rwandan genocide. And his answer back was interesting. He said that, he still believed in God because he had shaken hands with the devil, because he had seen evil in such a serious and grotesque and horrible way that he knew that God also had to be there, that both of those things had to be part of what's going on in this world. And so when evil shows its face like this, sometimes we need to remember that there is a source of light and good, and we need our God of love more than ever. So I want to share just 3 short Bible passages for this morning that were helpful to me, and I hope maybe they could help you in some way. And so the first one is Isaiah 51:12, which says, "I am he who comforts you." That's just a short verse for us, but to remember that God has brought comfort to people in times of just unimaginable sorrow and loss. And so if you are really feeling it right now after a month of lockdown and then this horrible event on top of that, don't forget to turn to God, because he can handle whatever it is you have to say. He can handle whatever you want to express to him, and he promises to help you if you will take that time and give this to him and ask him to walk with you through it. The second verse to share is Romans 12:21, which simply says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Most of us can't do a whole lot about this tragedy. We can perhaps make a donation, can send a sympathy note, can pray. We can pray, and those are good things to do, but maybe we wish like we could do more. Like, that's not a whole lot, and that's not true, because those things do matter, but we can do more than that, and we can simply do good. We can be present with our families and bring some joy to them. We can make a phone call to someone who might be lonely or someone we haven't talked to in a while. Can send a card or a letter that encourages someone. Don't just live in the misery of this, I guess, is what I'd say here, but make it a reason to share God's love instead. And the last verse that I'm going to spend a little bit more time on is Matthew 16:27. And that verse says, "For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done." And that might be a strange verse for today, but it speaks to where some of my emotions are, because I'm still angry. I'm still angry that a person would take so many lives and then force someone else to take his. I'm angry at the incredible cruelty and cowardice of this as we learn more details about it. I'm angry that someone would inflict so much evil on our world this way. And this verse comes to my mind because it helps me, for one thing, remember that there will be justice for this. That in our world, in our life, there's no way to have proper justice for what's happened, but our God does not shrug his shoulders. He does not ignore evil, and I don't know exactly how that plays out in the cosmic scheme of things, but justice will be done. This verse also helps me remember that evil doesn't win. Our Bible gives away the ending of history, which is where God triumphs and Satan loses and evil is no more and everything is made new until there's no more sorrow or tears or pain. There's a kind of a wonderful line in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings series where after they destroy the ring that empowers the evil of the world, Sam asks the wizard Gandalf, what'll happen to the world now? And he says this lovely thing. He says, will everything sad come untrue? Will everything sad come untrue? That's a way of looking at what the Bible tells us is in store for our world, where there is a great deal of brokenness, but it is redeemable, and God has a plan for that. So for those who are close to this, who are in shock and suffering loss, I don't know what would really soften that blow right now. But if you believe Jesus rose on Easter Sunday, if you believe he'll come again the way he's promised, then don't despair or fear, because he will walk with you through this. He will make things right. He will come and make things new. In this world, we will have trouble, but have hope, because we live for a future where everything sad becomes untrue. So I hope maybe something in there is a little bit of help to you today. I'd like to offer a quick word of prayer. God, we don't entirely understand. We can't fully grasp all of this. This is a hard time. For many, a very hard year. And God, I just pray that you would help us to continually bring that back to you. To not be afraid to tell you that this is hard, that this doesn't seem right, that this doesn't seem fair. And just to try to wrestle that through with you if that's what we need to do. God, help us to be okay with experiencing the emotions and the grief that some are experiencing, but just help us to cling to your hope in the midst of it, to remember your love in the midst of it, and to not give up or despair. And so, God, if there's anyone who's especially low right now, I pray that you would reach out to them and help lift them up, that you would encourage their spirit and their souls if that's what they need most today, and that you would help us to find ways to overcome evil with good in the days to come. In Jesus' name, amen.